The coffin arrived at 4:17 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, delivered to the front door of Salvatore Sally Mancini Social Club in Little Italy. A full-size casket, polished mahogany, brass handles, expensive, the kind you'd use for a real funeral. Two delivery men carried it inside, set it down in the middle of the club's main room where Sally and 8 of his men were playing cards. Everyone stopped, stared at the coffin. "What the hell is this?" Sally asked. One of the delivery men handed him an envelope. "Special delivery from Harlem." Sally opened the envelope. Inside was a single piece of paper with 3 words written in block letters. "He's still breathing." Sally's face went white. "Get out," he said to the delivery men. His voice was shaking. They left quickly. Sally stood there for a long moment, staring at the coffin, knowing what was inside, or who. He said quietly, "Open it." One of his men approached the coffin, hands trembling. He lifted the lid slowly, and there, lying inside on white satin cushioning, was Anthony Mancini, Sally's son, 23 years old, still breathing, barely. To understand what happened, you need to go back 3 days, to the moment Sally Mancini made the worst decision of his life. 3 days earlier, Saturday, April 12, 1958. Sally Mancini was a captain in the Genovese crime family, ran operations in East Harlem and parts of the Bronx, loan sharking, gambling, protection rackets. He was 52 years old, powerful, connected, respected. But lately, he'd been losing territory. Bumpy Johnson had been expanding, moving into areas Sally considered his, taking over policy banks, recruiting Sally's runners, making Sally look weak in front of his bosses. Sally couldn't let it stand. He'd tried negotiating. Bumpy refused. He'd tried intimidation. Bumpy didn't blink. He'd tried bribing Bumpy's people. They stayed loyal. So Sally decided to solve the problem permanently. Kill Bumpy Johnson. But Sally was smart. He knew you couldn't just send anyone to kill Bumpy. Bumpy had survived dozens of assassination attempts. He was careful, protected, always 3 steps ahead. You needed someone Bumpy wouldn't see coming. Someone unexpected. That's when Sally looked at his son, Anthony Mancini. Anthony Mancini was 23 years old, college-educated, smart, well-dressed, handsome. He didn't look like a killer. And that was exactly why Sally chose him. "Anthony," Sally said that Saturday afternoon. They were alone in Sally's office. "I need you to do something for me." "Anything, Pop." "I need you to kill Bumpy Johnson." Anthony went quiet, stared at his father. "You're serious?" "Completely. Bumpy's been eating into our territory for months. I've tried everything else. Now he needs to go. And you're the perfect person to do it." "Pop, I've never killed anyone. You don't need experience. You just need opportunity. And I'm going to give you that." Sally pulled out a photograph. Bumpy Johnson leaving a restaurant in Harlem. Bumpy eats at Wells' restaurant every Thursday night. Always sits at the same table, always leaves around 10 p.m. You walk up to him on the street. You shoot him. Close range, 3 shots to the chest. Then you run. Car will be waiting 2 blocks away. "Pop, this is insane. If I miss..." "You won't miss. You'll be 5 feet away. And even if something goes wrong, you're my son. Bumpy won't hurt you. He's got a code. He doesn't kill kids." "I'm 23. I'm not a kid." "To him, you are. Trust me, this is the perfect plan." Anthony looked at the photograph, at Bumpy's face. "And if I say no?" Sally's expression hardened. "Then you're not the man I raised. Then you're weak, and weakness doesn't survive in this family." Anthony understood. This wasn't a request. It was a test. Refuse, and his father would never look at him the same way again. "Okay," Anthony said quietly. "I'll do it." Thursday, April 17th, 1958, 9:47 p.m. Anthony Mancini sat in a black sedan 2 blocks from Wells' restaurant. In his jacket pocket was a .38 revolver, loaded, safety off. His hands were shaking. He'd spent the last 5 days preparing, going over the plan, visualizing the moment, trying to convince himself he could actually pull the trigger. At 9:58 p.m., the door opened. Bumpy Johnson walked out, alone, just like Sally said he would be. Anthony got out of the car, started walking toward him. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. Bumpy was walking north on Lenox Avenue, hands in his pockets, relaxed, not watching his surroundings. Perfect target. Anthony closed the distance, 20 feet, 15 feet, 10 feet. His hand went to his jacket pocket, fingers wrapped around the gun. 5 feet. Anthony pulled out the revolver, raised it, pointed it at his back. And that's when Bumpy spoke without turning around. Anthony Mancini, Sally's son, 23 years old, graduate of Fordham University, first time holding a gun at someone. Anthony froze. Bumpy turned slowly, looked at the gun, then at Anthony's face. "Your hand's shaking. Safety's already off, fingers on the trigger. You're about 3 seconds from shooting me by accident." "Don't move," Anthony said, his voice cracked. "I'll shoot." "You won't." "I will. I swear I—" Bumpy took 1 step forward. Anthony's finger tightened on the trigger, but he didn't pull it. Bumpy took another step. Now he was standing directly in front of the gun, the barrel pressed against his chest. "Go ahead. Pull the trigger. 3 shots. That's what your father told you, right? 3 shots to the chest." Anthony was trembling. "How did you—" "I've known about this for a week. Your father's not as smart as he thinks. The bartender at your father's club is on my payroll. I heard about this plan the same day your father told you." Anthony's eyes went wide. "So I've been waiting," Bumpy continued. "Waiting to see if Sally Mancini was stupid enough to actually send his own son to kill me." "I'll do it," Anthony whispered. "I'll shoot." "No, you won't. Because you're not a killer. You're a college kid playing gangster because your father told you to." Bumpy reached up slowly, put his hand on the gun barrel, pushed it down gently. Anthony didn't resist. "Here's what's going to happen," Bumpy said. "You're going to give me that gun. Then you're going to get in my car, and we're going to have a conversation about your father." "I can't." Behind Anthony, a car door opened. Willie Lee stepped out, gun already drawn, pointed at the back of Anthony's head. "You can," Bumpy said, "or Willie shoots you right here. Your choice." Anthony looked at Willie, then back at Bumpy. He handed over the gun. 10:23 p.m. They drove Anthony to a warehouse in the South Bronx. Empty, dark, cold. Willie and Marcus Cole walked Anthony inside. Bumpy followed. In the center of the warehouse was a wooden chair, a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling above it. "Sit," Bumpy said. Anthony sat. Willie zip-tied his hands behind the chair, his ankles to the chair legs. Anthony's mind was racing. This was it. This was how he died, tied to a chair in a warehouse. "Please," Anthony said. "Please, I'm sorry. I didn't want to do this. My father made me." "I know. Your father sent you to die. He knew you couldn't kill me. He knew I'd find out, and he sent you anyway." "What?" Bumpy pulled up another chair, sat down across from Anthony. "Your father's been losing territory to me for months. He looks weak to his bosses, so he needed to do something big, something that would make him look strong again." Bumpy leaned forward. "He sent you to kill me knowing you'd fail. Then, when I killed you in self-defense, your father would have justification to come after me, start a war, Rally the other families behind him. Use your death as fuel." Anthony was staring at Bumpy, horror spreading across his face. "You're lying." "Am I? Think about it. Your father is a professional. He's killed dozens of people. But instead of sending an experienced hitman, he sends his 23-year-old son who's never fired a gun at anyone. Does that make sense to you?" Anthony's voice was barely a whisper. "He wouldn't. He's my father." "He's a mobster. And to men like your father, everyone's expendable. Even family." Bumpy stood up. "So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you back to your father, but not the way he expected." Bumpy gestured to Willie and Marcus. They left, came back 10 minutes later carrying something large. A coffin. Anthony's eyes went wide. "No. God, no, please don't." "Relax," Bumpy said. "You're not dying, but your father needs to think you did." Willie and Marcus opened the coffin, lifted Anthony, still tied to the chair, and placed him inside. Wait, you can't." "You're going to lie in this coffin for 12 hours, Bumpy said. "You're going to think about what your father did to you, about how he sent you to die. And then, when I deliver you back to him tomorrow, you're going to be alive, breathing, a message your father will never forget." "What message?" Bumpy looked down at Anthony lying in the coffin. "That I could have killed you, that you were completely in my power, that I had every right to end your life. But I didn't, because unlike your father, I don't sacrifice children to save my own reputation." Bumpy nodded to Willie and Marcus. They closed the coffin lid. Anthony was plunged into darkness. "No, let me out, please." His voice was muffled through the wood. 12 hours, Bumpy said to the closed coffin. "Then you go home." They left Anthony there, in the coffin, in the dark, alive but trapped, thinking about his father, about the gun, about how close he'd come to dying. 12 hours later, Friday, April 18th, 4 p.m. When they opened the coffin, Anthony was still conscious, barely. He'd been hyperventilating, panicking, screaming until his voice gave out. Now he just lay there, eyes wide, traumatized. They pulled him out, cut the zip ties, gave him water. Anthony drank. His whole body was shaking. "Your father's social club is in Little Italy," Bumpy said. "We're delivering you there. In the coffin, the lid will be closed. You'll lie there. Stay quiet. When your father opens it, you'll be alive." He'll kill you for this." "No, he won't. Because if he tries, I'll tell every boss in New York what he did, that he sent his own son on a suicide mission, that he was willing to sacrifice you to start a war. Trust me, the other families won't forgive that." Bumpy pulled out a piece of paper, handed it to Anthony. "When you get out of that coffin, you give this to your father." Anthony read it. "Next time, send a real killer, not your son." 4:17 p.m. The coffin was delivered to Sally Mancini's social club. Sally opened it, found his son inside, alive, breathing, traumatized. Anthony climbed out of the coffin, stood there on shaking legs. Sally grabbed him. "Anthony! Jesus Christ, what happened? Where have you been?" Anthony pulled away from his father's embrace, looked at him with eyes that had changed, eyes that had seen the truth. "You sent me to die," Anthony said quietly. "What? No, I sent you to—" "You knew I couldn't kill him. You knew he'd find out. You sent me anyway." Sally's face went hard. "Anthony, you don't understand. I understand perfectly." Anthony's voice was shaking with rage. "You were willing to sacrifice me, your own son, to make yourself look strong." He handed Sally the note from Bumpy. Sally read it. His face went pale. "He could have killed me," Anthony said. "He had every right, but he didn't. He sent me back alive to teach you a lesson." Anthony turned and walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" Sally demanded. "Away from you, away from this family. Away from all of it. Anthony, if you walk out that door, what? You'll kill me? Like you almost did yesterday? Sally didn't respond. Anthony looked at his father one last time. Bumpy Johnson showed me more mercy in one night than you've shown me in 23 years. He walked out. Anthony Mancini left New York that night, moved to California, changed his name, started over. He never spoke to his father again. Sally Mancini never went after Bumpy Johnson again either, because the story spread through New York's underworld like fire. Sally sent his son to kill Bumpy. Bumpy sent him back in a coffin, still breathing. The message was clear. Bumpy Johnson could have killed the boy, had every right to, but he didn't, because he had a code, and that code didn't include killing sons to punish fathers. Unlike Sally Mancini, who was willing to sacrifice his own child for power. For the next 10 years, until Bumpy died in 1968, the mob families in New York gave Bumpy a wide berth. Not because they were afraid of his violence, because they respected his restraint. The man who could have killed a boss's son, but sent him home alive instead, with a message that cut deeper than any bullet. Next time, send a real killer, not your son.